guess we'll have Thunder come on up. Barbara.
Well, I too want to welcome everybody, and you think we could afford a better mic than this. Hello, it's Scotch Tape.
That's the only budget they gave.
Of course, after my grandson slept on the steps during the anthem, I will be going to Christ the King next week. Now, he was in the Lord's house and he was praising him the best way he knew how. So I was real proud of it. Pastor did kind of get on my agenda here. We do want to welcome Sandra's husband, Mark Prichard. We'd like to also welcome Ian, whom you've heard sing in the choir many, many times. Ian, thank you so much for coming over. I know it means a lot to your mother. Unfortunately, their daughter, Hillary, could not be with us, but she sent a little note to her mother. I'll translate. Dear Mother, thank you so much for all you've done to make this special occasion so special. I'm so glad I couldn't be with you today, but I want you to know in my heart, I love you so much.
That's pretty much it.
And if I
She's
could be
very
there,
quiet, like
if I could be there,
Here we go.
I just wanted to say hi, wishing you the 25 wonderful years, beautiful music, good friends, and lots of
make sure you get the tape just right. Okay, next. We also sent an invitation to Sandra's mother, and she responded with the notes. I'd like to take just a minute to read that. Dear Mr. Baumgartner, thank you so much for your note and invitation to Sandra's 25th celebration. Where does the time go? Sorry you had trouble finding my address. We tried to do all this secretly and quietly, but happy that you did. Sandra's late father and I attended her 50th anniversary. It was a great day. It made us feel proud. Also, we appreciated the time and work from everyone associated with the event. Unfortunately, due to my current health, I will not be able to attend, but my thanks, best wishes, prayers will be with you all, as will my loving prayers for Sandra. I know the Music Sunday service will be great. I hope everyone enjoys a great day on Sunday, May 4th, 2014. Sincerely, Alice Smith. At this time, I'd like to ask Pastor Bogus to come forward, and he has a few comments real quick. Brief. I told him the longer he takes, the more nap time he loses.
Barbara asked me to say a few words, and she did limit me to 2 or 3 minutes. Now, I want to ask you, how many of you in this room have ever heard a preacher say anything in 2 or 3 minutes? Well, Sandra, Pastor Hunter and I are the 2 pastors you've had to work with over these 25 years, or put up with. I want to point out to you, to the group, that when Pastor Hunter and I individually started working with Sandra, both of us had dark hair. Look at us now. Actually, Sandra has been at this church more than 25 years. My earliest memory is in the early 80s. She was a very, very, very pregnant soprano soloist in our choir. She had a baby, Hillary, whom you just saw on the video. She went home to take care of her for a while, and then several years later came back as the organist here at our church under the directorship of Dr. Jim Russey. And then 25 years ago, she became the director of our entire music program here, and as well as serving as organist. Sandra has many gifts, many talents which we could lift up here today. Harry Jacobs, who was the founder and the first director of the Augusta Symphony and a longtime music professor at Augusta College, once told me that Sandra was the best keyboard student he had ever taught. And two of the best preachers in this country. In a conversation recently, both agreed that Sandra is probably the best church musician in the city of Augusta.
Hear, hear.
I won't name those preachers, but both of them are here in the room. As I said, Sandra has loads of attributes that we could lift up today, but because of Barbara's stingy time limit, I'm going to lift up just one that means a whole lot to me. And that is her selection of music for our worship. Many church musicians view their role and the role of their choirs as performers, but not Sandra. She is a true church musician with an emphasis on church. She sees her role as a leader of worship rather than a performer. And this is evident in everything that she does. Her selection of music, hymns, anthems, preludes, postludes, always appropriate to the day of the church year and to the theme of that day. You can tell that she doesn't just go to the shelf and pick off something that's easy or something she likes or whatever. It's evident that she has studied the lessons for that day and that she has selected music which is appropriate for that day and for that season. I find that meaningful. It enriches my worship every single Sunday. And I find that especially true during this past Lent and Holy Week. For 25 years now, the worship of this church has been enriched as God's Word has been conveyed to us by means of music from the heart and mind of this tiny woman. Resurrection Church and our predecessor churches, St. Matthew's German Church and Holy Trinity English Church, have always had good music. The beautiful marble altar in our sanctuary is dedicated to the memory of Miss Dorothea Breedenberg and her daughter. Miss Breedenberg was the organist at the German-speaking church. When Sandra moved into that line of musicians, all the way down through Emily Remington, all the way down to today, when Sandra moved into that line of musicians, she did not just maintain things, she enhanced the place and quality of music in this church. Sandra, all of us here today love you. We thank you for 25 years of great music, leading the music ministry of this church. And we all hope that you're ready to sign up for 25 more years.
Thank you, Pastor Bullock. And now that the niceties are over, I have the privilege of perhaps roasting Sandra. Now, when I was talking to Mark in the very beginning, which now we're a very good couple, actually. I said, and we'll have a roast. And I think he thought I meant like roasting gravy. But no, I'm going to take just a few minutes because I kind of know Sandra a little better than most of y'all. For instance, does she have a green card? I mean, seriously, I think she drove around for 2 years on an expired license. And not even a citizen, eh? Are you a citizen? She came over with the Beatle movement, I guess. Well, and then I kept after Sandra. We had these beautiful temps up in the choir loft, and I kept after her. I said, you've got to find someone to play the temps. And I really tormented her. Finally, she said, well, why don't you play him? I think she regrets ever saying that. She said, it's very easy. We're going to do a Lenten walk. It's very easy. You just have to keep the beat. Very solemn, very slow. And I told her, I will have Jesus doing the Macarena before this is over. I don't do slow. Very, very slow. Gina's has written a very nice poem, but time will not permit us to use it today. But the gist of it is, Sandra's like a duck. She swims beautifully on the water, but underneath, she is paddling like nobody's business. You might have noticed today she was up in the loft, down at in the sanctuary, up in the loft, down in the sanctuary. I'd like to talk to property about getting her a zip line. And then one Sunday morning, Pastor Hunter, you can attest to this, Sandra said the pipes stuck open during a hymn. Is that correct?
Yeah.
No, because I looked up there and you were like, you were laid out across them. I don't know what that was all about. And ever since Ian went to South Carolina, which pains me to say. No, we beat him this year, actually. Oh, me, and I was at the game in Knoxville, so I couldn't really gloat because she will put coffee up on the organ. I don't know if y'all seen that, but she will just hang him up there. And one day when they beat Tennessee, I hung him from the back of her organ seat. But she does know football. One time, I believe Georgia and South Carolina were playing, and I had to meet a plane at Bush Field. So Sandra, through her texting, kept me appraised of the score, and y'all did beat Georgia.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, another thing that you don't know about Sandra is she loves swimming. I've had the opportunity to host many a swim party after music camp, and you've not seen Sandra until you've seen her come up out of the water. In her thong. No. I made that up. No, it's a bikini. It was a bikini. But we always enjoy snow cones, adult swim time, and there's one other thing that y'all don't know. This child can throw back a yoo-hoo. And in closing, I wanted to say that Drew Zimba, who could not unfortunately be with us today, and Sandra and I have become like the Three Musketeers up there. And one of our favorite songs to play.
Are you going to say it?
I'll say it.
Okay.
The Minuet Finale. That's one of our favorites. I just want to say to you, Sandra, God bless you. We love you, and have a great day. I don't think so. All right. The yoo-hoo was not your gift. At this time, Pastor Hunter will say a few words and do the presentation of gifts.
You know, Sandra, I'd forgotten about the change in my hair color. There we go. But something else that you all don't know, but has been very meaningful to me. You know, I was sort of a musical vagabond. But Sandra taught me to play the piano. And I'm forever indebted to you for that.
Me too.
She, before she became a Gamecock, I credit that to inexperience. But the Tiger and the Gamecock get along just fine. But there's a couple things. In the sermon this morning, I mentioned what Bach wrote, Soli Deo Gloria. And as Paul said earlier, Sandra understands exactly what that means. To God be the glory. That is the purpose of music in the church. And there are three things that I want to say about Sandra that are more than meaningful, that are important to every one of us and have been a blessing to us as a church. And the first is the fact that she knows that and knows how to conduct the choir. Because in the 15 years I've been here, you know, the choir changes not just from year to year, but sometimes from week to week. And Sandra, and by the way, you notice how some people talk and they'll animate their discussion with their hands? Well, Sandra conducts her conversation. And I love how she does that. Well, but she also is able to take whatever she has at any time and raise it and elevate it and get inspiring and wonderful music every time. You heard it today, and as Paula knows, you hear it every Sunday. It's just marvelous how she does it. Her ability to conduct, and her ability to conduct in the tradition of Bach, who really started our fabulous musical tradition. The second thing was that picture you saw today when you watched our young choirs. What happens to children when they come and they start way down there in the Genesis choir, and then they wind up where they were this morning. And the transformation in those children from beginning to end is just incredible. And not just the ones you saw today. Ian is a product of that as well. And Hillary, and of course, Ian is the best singing Gamecock in the world. And so her ability to transform those children, any child placed in this music program will wonderfully develop musical abilities. Could have even happened to me 50 or 60 years ago. But what's most important is that when I arrived and sat down and met Sandra for the first time, in that conversation, Sandra told me that this is her calling. Now, she didn't mean that being a church music director is her calling. She was specific. To be the director of music at this church is her calling. And that has been your blessing and my blessing. I have been very fortunate to work with Sandra. She's marvelous to work with, and as Paulin has said, and we all know, she has incredible gifts which she uses all the time. But more than that, she is here because God has literally called her to do this, and that's the way she sees it. It's wonderful when we can see our life in that way and in that light. And so that is, for me, the most important. That's most important because it is your calling. It has been, and hopefully will continue to be that. But we do love you, Sandra, and we appreciate God putting you here. Now, I do have a couple of gifts. We have these. We can leave the cards right there. There we go. It's a good thing Barbara should tell us what to do.